Hi there. I'm going to address this quote that people either say about themselves or trainers say about their client for why they're not making progress. The quote is, the client or me was eating less than my maintenance and not losing weight. Now, this is often said on its own or as a rebuttal against energy balance or psycho, which is calories in, calories out. Now, I want to dispel a myth here that calories in, calories out is a diet that works for some people, but for me, low carb or keto works. Or for me, paleo and higher fat works, but I can understand how calories work, how calories in, calories out work for someone else. That is not how it works. Calories in, calories out is not a diet. Calorie tracking as a method is a diet, but energy balance is simply the mechanism by which all diets work. So that's a sort of myth that some people who are saying this are disagreeing with. So I want to show why this is not only wrong, I hopefully want to explain what is actually happening in the body that makes someone think this is true. So number one is there's not enough time in the diet. So this one's assuming there really is a caloric deficit. If someone has only a 1 to 300 caloric deficit, they're not going to see progress for months, assuming they're tracking perfectly. They're not going to see multiple pounds lost for like 2 to 3 months, let alone 1 week. Some people go 1 week, and men have water fluctuations as well, especially if you have more calories on one day or just more sodium. You're going to have weight fluctuations, and you can go 1 to 2 weeks, even as a man, and not see progress. You got to wait a little bit longer, at least 30 to 60 days, to see some good progress with a weight loss plan, especially if you don't have a good caloric deficit. Now, I say even with men, because with women, this is even more likely. During the menstrual cycle, women have huge 3 to 6 pound water weight fluctuations during that month. You simply either have to track weight every single day methodically and see the average weight change over the month and really wait at least a month, or you need to track the weight on the same days of the menstrual cycle from month to month. Some women prefer to do that as they don't want to be obsessed with the scale. But you can't just weigh yourself on day 1 of your period and then weigh yourself again halfway through your period, then again at the end, and see these rapid jumps and think, man, this diet's all over the place, I'm going to go on a detox. Nope. You need to be methodical, either with looking at an average weight loss, but really at least you need to wait at least 30 days to see good progress with the plan. And that one's assuming you're actually in a deficit. Number 2 is what happens most of the time, which is misreporting. So I will change the quote to the client says they were eating less than their maintenance and they were not losing weight. Now, real quick, what the heck is maintenance even mean? Maintenance is the amount of food you have to consume to not gain or lose any weight. By definition, if you're eating less than your maintenance, you have to lose weight. And that is what we actually see in studies. This never has ever happened in a study when calories in are controlled and calories out are controlled as well, which is usually in a metabolic ward lab. But in real life, we don't control things. We're not accurate. We change multiple variables at a single time. And the bigger point is people misreport. And there's a study on this that shows some people were misreporting by up to 1,000 calories. So they were reporting that they were eating 1,000 calories less than they were actually consuming. And people over-report exercise as well. Okay, so misreporting is the biggest reason people think this is really happening. People either lie, people really lie, to their coach and to themselves about what they're actually consuming. But a lot of people are just not educated about food labels. They just don't understand how many calories are in a lot of their foods. This is combined with not telling the whole truth because people snack quite a lot. In the single snack, just a handful of almonds doesn't seem like a lot. But a handful of almonds, 3 bites of your kid's mac and cheese, a snack bar like a nut bar at night, and then 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, that could be 300 to 400 calories, which can be your entire deficit gone. And if you don't track any of those things, and you're tracking just your main meals and none of your snacks, you will think you're really in a deficit when you are not. So misreporting is really the biggest reason, but also just not tracking accurately enough, which is part of misreporting. So it's not just that people are lying, it's just that they're not experienced with tracking. I've had clients who are trying to track a sandwich, and they will go to their food logging app and just type in sandwich and just click on whatever is in there, assuming that the sandwich that is in there is the same one they're eating. When really, because you don't have to track anything to lose weight, in fact, most people probably shouldn't. But if you are going to track either as a dieting strategy or as an audit, which can be a great idea, you have to actually track each individual ingredient in something like a sandwich in order for it to be accurate. The exact bread you're consuming, you weigh the cheese, you look at the cheese, the meat, the mayonnaise, or whatever you're putting on your sandwich. Okay, number 3 is metabolic adaptation. Now, this assumes you were in a caloric deficit in the beginning of your diet, but you are no longer by like month 2 to 4 in a caloric deficit. And this happens a lot with people who are really good about their dieting strategy, but it doesn't change over time, either because they're not experienced or their coach was not experienced. Now, here's what happens. You start out at, say, 2,500 calories for a man is your maintenance calories. You go on a pretty good plan of 2,000 calories, which is a 500 calorie deficit. Now, what happens is through metabolic adaptation, your basal metabolic rate goes down, your thermic effect of food goes down, and your spontaneous physical activity, also known as NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, goes down. So energy out goes down, and by month like 2 to 3, your maintenance, your new maintenance, is the same calories as your dieting number, which means you're not in a deficit. In order to continue losing weight, you either need to bring one of these back up, which really the only one you've got to bring up is either exercise or non-exercise activity thermogenesis, like spontaneous, like more walking, more moving around throughout the day, or more exercise. You can bring those back up and raise your energy out, which means you're now in a little bit of deficit, or you have to go on a new dieting number, now maybe 1,800 calories, combine a new dieting number with a little more physical activity to keep losing weight, or a lot of times a good strategy is a diet break or a maintenance phase for that person, which increases calories out and gives them a psychological break to re-enter a new dieting phase. Okay, those are the most likely things that are happening. Now I want to really quickly address what someone says next right after this sentence. But I added more food and the person started losing weight. So first of all, you probably didn't add more food. And what do you mean by more food? More food as in just more food on a plate, or more calories? Because those are not the same thing. And that's why a vegan diet for many people causes immediate weight loss. Because vegan diets have a ton of plant-based protein. What else does plant-based protein have? Fiber. With fiber brings a bulk, sort of a volume to your food. When you increase volume without increasing a lot of calories, you can think you're eating more food. In fact, the time it takes to eat your food goes up, but you're not actually eating more calories. You often eat less calories because you get fuller on a lot of good strategy vegan diets, not just a bunch of McDonald's like French fries and fast food and stuff like that without the meat. Okay, so first, if you weren't even tracking accurately, how do you know you're eating more food? But a lot of things that happen are food swaps. If you swap fat, which is double the calories compared to carbohydrates, 9 calories per gram compared to 4 calories per gram with carbs, and you increase a little bit of carbs, you have more energy now. A lot of times when you increase carbs, say before a workout, someone actually works out harder. If you work out harder, you are increasing the calories outside of the equation, which still fits in the energy balance, which means maybe you've added a deficit by doing a food swap. So the client or you think you're eating more food, but really you've done a fancy little food swap and you're not tracking at all or accurately. So you think you're eating more food, but really you're eating either the same amount of food or now less food because you're more full. Maybe you've added more protein as well, which causes fullness. And you've increased the energy outside of the equation. Okay, I'm going to stop this video here. Brief shout out to sleep. If you have bad sleep, you'll increase hunger, which increases snacking. If you increase your sleep, maybe someone doesn't even realize, well, my sleep's better. You are less likely to overeat, which causes a decrease in food consumption. And really what we're looking for is a decrease in spontaneous food consumption, which means non-tracking. And if someone's not tracking it, they might not realize that they're eating less food. They might think, oh, my coach just told me to add more vegetables, add more protein, and switch a fat for a carb. And they think, I've added more food. But oftentimes what happens is those food swaps and improved sleep leads to less food consumption. But they don't know that because people don't really track their food accurately. Okay, that's it for this. For this question here, you can let me know if you have any rebuttals or comments. Thanks.